So many men wonder why a woman's desire seems to fade over time, why the passion that once felt effortless slowly dims into routine, and why she no longer looks at them with the same spark in her eyes. The truth is, feminine desire doesn't die on its own. It simply goes to sleep when it isn't nourished, when the masculine energy stops awakening it. If you want to understand how to ignite that fire again, if you want her to look at you with hunger, longing, and deep emotional craving, then you must learn how to wake up her desire on a psychological level, because attraction begins in the mind long before it reaches the body. The feminine thrives on emotional stimulation because her world is not built only on logic or structure, but on feeling, on depth, on the richness of inner experience that constantly flows through her. She lives and breathes emotion the way the masculine breathes stability. And for her to feel alive in desire, there has to be an energy that excites her heart before it touches her body. A woman's passion does not ignite simply through physical attraction. It ignites when she feels a shift inside her chest, when something about your presence awakens her emotional world in a way that makes her feel seen, valued, and desired on a level that words cannot describe. When she feels emotionally stimulated, she begins to open up, she begins to crave, she begins to lean into that magnetic pull because it gives her the thrill her feminine essence longs for. Emotional stimulation is not about grand gestures or endless words. It is about subtle cues, about how she feels when she is around you. It could be the intensity of your gaze when you look at her, the way your silence feels heavy with meaning, or the way you carry yourself with such quiet confidence that she cannot help but feel something stir within her. The feminine responds to energy before action, to intention before movement, and to presence before words. If you want her desire to wake up, you must understand that it is her emotions you must reach first. Touching her mind, sparking her curiosity, giving her something to feel rather than just something to think about, that is where her longing begins to grow. When a woman feels emotionally stimulated, she begins to create stories in her mind. She replays moments. She imagines what could happen. She feels the anticipation of something unfolding, and that anticipation is the root of her desire. The feminine loves the unknown, the thrill of uncertainty, the tension between what is said and what is unsaid. This is why predictability can kill passion, because the feminine is not nourished by routine. She is nourished by the excitement of the unexpected, by the way a small act of mystery can keep her emotionally engaged. Her heart beats faster not when everything is explained, but when she feels there is more to uncover, more to explore, more to feel. That emotional journey is what awakens her sensuality far more than any physical act could ever do. To awaken her desire, you must enter her emotional world without fear. That means being unafraid of her moods, her chaos, her intensity. Many men run from a woman's emotions because they see them as overwhelming or unnecessary, but in reality, those emotions are the very gateway to her passion. The feminine feels deeply, and when you create the space for her to express, to feel, to be heard without judgment, she connects her emotions to you. And once that connection is established, her desire naturally grows because her emotions are no longer locked within herself. They are now tied to your presence. The one who awakens her emotions awakens her attraction because she begins to associate her inner world with your energy. But it is not about constantly chasing her emotions or trying to manipulate her feelings. It is about holding yourself steady while providing sparks that keep her fire alive. A word said at the right time, a look that lingers longer than expected, an unexpected silence that carries weight. These are the things that stimulate her emotionally. She does not want every answer. She does not want everything explained. She wants to feel the tension, the mystery, the subtle pull of your energy. The feminine thrives on emotional stimulation because it makes her feel alive. It reminds her of her depth. It pulls her out of the numbness of routine and back into the intoxicating dance of desire that only awakens when her emotions are stirred in ways she cannot control. Masculine stability ignites feminine longing because the very essence of the feminine is movement, flow, and ever-changing emotion, while the essence of the masculine is groundedness, structure, and unwavering presence. A woman who lives deeply in her feminine craves the safety of masculine steadiness, not because she is weak, but because her energy is designed to be free, expressive, and fluid. And that fluidity can only thrive when there is something strong enough to contain it. When she feels that the energy beside her is unshakable, when she knows that no matter what storms rise within her, there is a presence that cannot be moved, her longing intensifies because that stability allows her to surrender fully into her feminine essence. The feminine does not long for a man who bends under pressure or collapses in the face of chaos, because such instability forces her to step into control, to take over, and to carry the burden of steadiness herself. That drains her. It weakens her desire. It forces her into a role she was not designed to carry in love. But when she feels masculine stability, when she feels that she can fall apart without fear, when she knows that your energy is not shaken by her emotions, her heart opens. Desire is awakened in her when she senses she can lean into her softness without having to question if you can handle it. That is where her longing begins, not in physical touch alone, but in the emotional permission to be fully feminine while resting against the security of the masculine stability. In the masculine does not mean silence or emotional coldness. It does not mean being distant or detached in a way that feels uncaring. True stability is the energy of presence, of grounded certainty, of strength that does not need to shout to be known. It is the calm voice when she is overwhelmed, the steady gaze when she is chaotic, the firm direction when she feels lost. Feminine longing ignites not because she sees dominance, but because she feels safety. Safety is the soil in which her passion grows, because only when she feels secure enough can she give herself fully, openly, and vulnerably. Masculine stability is not about controlling her, but about giving her the freedom to express herself without fearing that expression will drive you away. A woman's longing deepens when she feels the contrast between her own fluidity and your unmovable presence. When her emotions rise and fall like waves, and you remain the shoreline that holds them, she begins to crave you. When she feels your stillness while she spins in her whirlwind of thoughts and feelings, her desire intensifies because she sees in you what she does not see in herself. That polarity is what creates the spark. The more she feels that you are her anchor, the more her feminine energy rises to meet your masculine. She cannot resist stability because it allows her to relax, to let go of her armor, and to feel the passion that only emerges when she no longer has to guard herself. The masculine ignites longing not by chasing, not by constantly reassuring, not by begging for love, but by embodying an energy that is unshaken. When you are calm in the face of her storms, she feels your strength. When you do not collapse under her tests or her shifting moods, she begins to admire your presence. And admiration is the gateway to desire. The feminine cannot long for what it does not admire, and she cannot admire what is easily broken. When she sees your consistency, when she feels your certainty, when she knows that you do not need her approval to stand strong, her longing awakens because she is drawn to the one who allows her to be fully herself without losing himself in the process. Masculine stability is not about perfection or pretending you have no emotions. It is about holding your ground, about mastering yourself so deeply that you are not ruled by impulse, insecurity, or fear. when she feels that your world does not collapse when she withdraws, when she sees that your energy is still calm when she tests your boundaries, she feels a deeper craving for you. That craving is born out of respect, out of admiration, out of the feminine recognition that her longing is safe in your presence. The more stable you are in yourself, the more her desire is drawn out of her naturally, because the feminine longs to surrender, and surrender can only happen when there is strength capable of carrying it. Mystery and unpredictability rekindle desire because the feminine spirit is deeply drawn to curiosity, to wonder, to the thrill of not knowing exactly what comes next. Desire is not born out of routine or predictability. It is born out of tension, anticipation, and the unknown. When every action is expected, when every word is repeated, when the rhythm becomes robotic, the feminine begins to lose the spark that once made her eyes light up. But when there is mystery, when there are layers she cannot fully read, when she feels that there is more beneath the surface than what is revealed, her desire awakens again because the feminine is nourished by emotional stimulation. And mystery is one of the most powerful forms of emotional engagement she can feel. Predictability may offer comfort, but it suffocates attraction. The feminine does not long for a man who is easy to figure out, because once there is nothing left to discover, her curiosity fades, and with it, her passion. Mystery is not about playing games or manipulating emotions. It is about maintaining a depth within yourself that she cannot fully unravel. It is about allowing her to sense that there are parts of you reserved, not hidden out of deception, but protected out of strength. When she cannot anticipate every reaction, when she cannot predict every move, her emotions heighten. She wonders what you will do next, how you will surprise her, what expression you will carry, and that wondering keeps her desire alive. Unpredictability feeds longing because it breaks her out of the monotony that routine often brings. The feminine thrives in energy that moves her, energy that awakens her body and mind, energy that keeps her engaged. When you do the same things at the same times in the same ways, she begins to go numb, not because she no longer cares, but because her nature requires variation to feel alive. The smallest changes, an unexpected word, a subtle shift in tone, a sudden silence, or an unplanned action can spark emotions within her that reignite the fire of attraction. She does not always need something grand. She needs to feel the element of surprise, the sense that she cannot fully predict what is next, and that unpredictability stirs her longing in ways consistency never could. Mystery also creates space for her imagination to flourish, and in the feminine, imagination is everything. When you leave room for her to wonder, she begins to create stories in her mind. She fills in the gaps. She anticipates and fantasizes. And through that process, her desire builds. If you give her every answer, every detail, every piece of certainty, her imagination dies. But when you hold back just enough, when you allow her to question, to think, to explore the unknown within you, her mind stays engaged and her emotions stay alive. She is not drawn to what is fully revealed. She is drawn to what hints at more beneath the surface, to what cannot be easily explained, to what makes her want to keep searching. The feminine desires energy that excites her heart, not just energy that comforts her mind. Mystery makes her feel alive because it takes her on an emotional journey. When she cannot predict your moves, she feels anticipation. When she cannot read your silence, she feels curiosity. When she senses that there is more depth to you than what you show, she feels magnetized. All of these emotions blend into longing because desire is not about what is known, but about what is felt in the unknown. Mystery forces her out of the safe, flat line of predictability and into the waves of passion that make her crave more of your presence. Unpredictability is not chaos, and it is not recklessness. It is the balance between being steady enough for her to trust you, yet dynamic enough for her to never feel bored. It is the art of keeping her guessing in a way that excites her, not confuses her. When she feels that you can be both stable and surprising, both grounded and unpredictable, she cannot help but feel drawn to you. Her desire rekindles because she feels she is in the presence of energy that challenges her, excites her, and keeps her engaged. That is the essence of desire for the feminine. To feel constantly awakened by the unexpected, to feel the thrill of discovery, and to never lose the curiosity that keeps her passion burning. Attention without overattachment is one of the most powerful dynamics that awakens and sustains feminine desire, because the feminine longs to feel seen, noticed, and valued. Yet it resists the suffocating weight of obsession and neediness. Desire grows in the delicate balance between presence and freedom, between giving enough attention to let her know she matters, but withholding enough to keep her longing alive. When a woman feels genuine attention, her heart softens, her guard begins to lower, and she allows herself to lean into her feminine essence. But when that attention becomes overbearing, when it shifts from devotion to desperation, she instinctively pulls away, not because she does not appreciate love, but because her essence cannot bloom in a space where she feels consumed rather than cherished. The feminine thrives on being noticed in the subtleties, in the small details, in the unspoken ways that prove she has captured your awareness. A glance that lingers, a word spoken at the right time, an acknowledgement of her energy without her having to demand it. These are the kinds of attentions that awaken her desire. They show her that she matters, that she is seen beyond the surface, that her presence has an effect. This is the kind of attention that makes her feel desired because it connects to her emotional core. But the problem begins when attention is no longer a gift, but a grasp, when it is not given freely, but demanded back, when it becomes an attempt to control or cling. That shift turns desire into resistance, because the feminine cannot surrender to an energy that is trying to trap her. Over-attachment suffocates longing because it removes the very space in which desire grows. Desire lives in tension, in mystery, in the dance of closeness and distance. When you give attention in abundance but hold your own ground without collapsing into need, she feels drawn to you. But when you attach too tightly, when you seek constant validation, when you flood her with endless reminders of your need, you take away the room for her own desire to rise. The feminine must feel free to move toward you willingly, not forced by your dependency. She longs for a presence that can adore her without losing itself in her, that can give her focus without demanding constant reassurance in return. This is why restraint is so magnetic. A man who can give attention generously but still maintain his own energy creates a polarity that fuels femininity. Only emerges in the space created by true masculine stability. Creating space for her feminine to flow also means allowing her to step out of the masculine role that society often forces her into. Many women carry responsibilities, stress, and constant decision-making that push them into their masculine energy during the day, leaving little room for softness, for surrender, for play. When she comes into a space where she no longer has to lead, where she no longer has to control every outcome, where she feels she can finally exhale and simply be, her feminine reawakens. And with that reawakening comes desire, because the feminine longs to rest in its natural state of softness and emotional depth. A man who provides that space is not weakening her. He is giving her the greatest gift, the chance to return to her essence, to her flow, to her natural rhythm of expression. It is not about controlling her emotions or demanding her femininity on command, but about being present in a way that makes her feel safe enough to reveal it. When she senses that she does not have to fight for dominance in the relationship, when she feels that her vulnerability will not be used against her, when she sees that she can express her emotions without being shut down, her energy shifts. She begins to soften. She begins to lean in. She begins to let her guard down. And in that surrender, her desire awakens. The masculine presence becomes the grounding force that gives her the courage to fully explore her feminine essence. And the deeper she explores, the stronger her attraction becomes. Her feminine flow also thrives in play, spontaneity, and creativity. She longs for moments where she can laugh without restraint, dance without structure, love without fear of rejection, and feel without being silenced. When you create a space where her playfulness is celebrated, where her imagination is encouraged, where her emotions are not seen as weakness, but as beauty, she feels more connected not only to herself, but to you. This connection is what transforms her desire into something magnetic, something unstoppable, because she does not just feel attracted, she feels alive in your presence. And the one who makes her feel alive is the one she will always long for. Creating space for her feminine to flow requires strength, patience, and deep self-mastery, because it means holding steady while she expresses the full spectrum of her energy. It means not shrinking when her emotions grow intense, not criticizing when her vulnerability shows, not controlling when her softness feels unfamiliar. It means understanding that her flow is not meant to be fixed, but embraced. And when she feels that embrace, when she feels that freedom, her desire does not need to be forced. It rises naturally because her feminine energy, once freed, cannot help but seek the masculine energy strong enough to allow it to exist in its purest form. The power of detachment and self-mastery is one of the deepest forces that awaken feminine desire, because nothing is more magnetic to the feminine than a man who is not ruled by his impulses, his emotions, or his need for validation. Desire is not born from desperation, it is born from strength, from the quiet certainty of someone who does not need to chase, beg, or plead in order to be valued. When the masculine masters himself, when he shows through his actions and presence that he is in control of his own energy, it creates an undeniable polarity that pulls the feminine toward him. Detachment does not mean indifference. It means freedom from the hunger for approval. It means that his worth is not tied to her reactions. And this freedom makes his presence irresistible. The feminine longs to be chosen, but she does not long for the man who is consumed by her. She does not desire the one who loses himself in her moods, who crumbles when she withdraws, or who needs constant affirmation to feel secure. She desires the man who remains whole within himself, the one who gives attention but does not collapse into attachment, the one who can walk with her but does not fall apart if she steps away. Detachment in this sense is not allowed